Welcome, 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 welcome to the Mind Fuck Podcast. Yay! Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for taking time out to hang out with me. My name is Wonu Alishe, and sometimes I do go by Amazing Soul. Welcome to the My Vibe podcast. And I will say this FCK stands for fun, compassion, and kindness. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much. I really, really, truly appreciate you. Before we start, we have a tradition where we read something that I titled Reminders to Being Human. The beautiful intention behind reading this list is to serve as a reminder to me, but most importantly, the intent is hopefully as I read these reminders, it also serves as a reminder to you. All right, with no further ado, let's get into it. All right. Reminders to being human. Have fun along the journey. Show yourself compassion. Be kind to others. Being complex and being simple can hold true in the same breath. Stay curious, my friend. Hold space for pauses. Hold space for not knowing. Never underestimate the power of silence. Nature has a lot of wisdom. Pay attention. There is power in we than I. If nothing else makes sense, come back to love. Pain is our greatest teacher. And the very last one, never underestimate your ripple of existence. Welcome once again. Now let's get into the fun part of the show. Let me start with the obvious question itself. Is regulating your nervous system actually worth it? Not in theory, not in a social media friendly way, not as a buzzword or even a lifestyle aesthetic. I mean, in real life, in your actual body. I mean, on ordinary days when nothing dramatic is happening, when you're still tired, when you still get triggered, when you still feel human. Because I want to be honest right up front with you. If you're looking for regulation to make you calm all the time, this episode might disappoint you. If you're looking for regulation to make you emotionally neutral, endlessly productive, or immune to life, it will really not do that either. Right? So the real question isn't, will nervous system regulation fix me? No. The real question is, what does it actually change and what doesn't change? You see, for most of my life, I didn't think in terms of nervous systems. No, I thought in terms of discipline, effort, endurance, pushing through. I trusted my mind. I trusted structure. I trusted rules, for a long time. And honestly, I genuinely thought that was strength. If my body was tired, I assumed I was weak. If I felt anxious, I thought I needed to override it. If I felt emotional, I believe I was losing control. And no one explicitly, no one flat out taught me this, right? It was absorbed subconsciously. I mean, for me, it was through culture, through environment, through expectation, and through survival. For me, growing up, moving countries, navigating different systems and identities, my nervous system learned really early on that alertness was safer than rest. And for me, hyperfunctioning became my new normal. I didn't call it then dysregulation. I just called it being capable. When people talk about nervous system regulation now, it's often framed like a productivity upgrade. Things like regulate so you can perform better, regulate so you can stay calm, regulate so you can respond instead of react. And while there's some truth in that, right? There is some truth in that. It misses the deeper point. Because the first thing regulation actually does isn't to make your life smoother. No, it makes you more honest. Oof. And for me, that part really caught me off guard. It did. One of my earliest moments, I noticed something shifting, and it wasn't during like meditation or consciously breathing. It was doing something painfully ordinary in my life. I remember, sitting still, doing nothing, and noticing how uncomfortable I felt. Not emotionally dramatic. I just felt irritated. I felt restless. I felt impatient. And I also felt a huge urge to distract myself. And that was surprising to me initially because on the surface, nothing was wrong. But my body did not experience stillness as neutral. No, it actually experienced it as unsafe. That's when I started to realize something really important. My nervous system wasn't broken. No, it was trained. And it had been trained through lived experience, not conscious choice. So when people ask me now, is regulating your nervous system worth it? I pause. Because worth it compared to what? Compared to staying in survival mode because it feels familiar? Compared to constantly managing yourself from embracing yourself from overwhelming emotions? Compared to living your life slightly braced even when you're having good days? Regulation doesn't erase difficulty, my friend. No, it changes how much friction you carry while moving through it. That's it. The emotional charge lessens over time. For me, one of my biggest shift regulation brought me, it wasn't peace. No, it was space. I mean, space between the sensation going on in my body and the story going on in my brain. Space between the trigger and the identity. Space between this feels uncomfortable and something is wrong with me. Before regulation, everything felt very personal, right? Every reaction meant something, every emotion required interpretation, every bad day felt like a failure. After regulation, slowly, unevenly, I started to notice something different. I mean, feelings could move through me without defining me. I'll tell you, my friend, that was new for me. There's this interesting idea that regulating your nervous system makes you less emotional. I'm going to be honest, this hasn't been my experience at all. If anything, I feel more, but I do not drown in it the same way I used to years ago. I cry more honestly, I laugh more freely, I feel my anger without immediately turning it inward. I also give room for my sadness without making it a problem to solve. Regulation did not flatten my emotional range. No, it did widen my tolerance for being a human being. That's what regulation did for me. I remember years ago during periods of like my chronic pain, yeah, where I was always having disrupted sleep and I was always self monitoring myself, trying to fix myself while telling myself I was fine. That contradiction lived in my body long before I could articulate what was going on. Regulation didn't magically remove pain. Oh no, it did not. But it changed my relationship with pain. That's the beauty of regulation. Instead of fighting my body, I started to listen. Not romantically, not spiritual bypassing, just practically. I mean, I started asking questions like, what happens if I stop treating my body like a machine that needs optimization? That question, softened something in me. It did. You know, I remember, a few years ago, I was lying in my bed, awake at night. I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't panicking, I was just awake, right? And before, when I used to find myself awake at night, I would spiral, and I always think maybe something was wrong with me or I needed to fix something. Once I started to regulate, it didn't suddenly make my sleep perfect. No. What it changed was my tone. I stopped fighting being awake at night. I stopped treating it as a threat. And paradoxically, sleep returned. Like I started sleeping my regular 8, 9 hours, not because I forced it, but because my nervous system no longer felt interrogated. Do you see? And that's one of the quiet truths of about, choosing to regulate your nervous system. Your body responds to how you treat it. Remember, it's a relationship, not how much you understand it. And that relationship takes time. So, is regulating your nervous system worth it? If you're expecting a before and after transformation, maybe not. If you're expecting fewer emotions, fewer reactions, fewer messy moments, probably not. But if you're willing to experience less self betrayal, less internal pressure, less self management, more neutrality, more choice, and more capacity, woo, then yes, it is so fucking worth it. And just not in the way most people sell it. One of the hardest parts of regulation is that it doesn't give you an identity upgrade. No. You don't become the regulated person. No. You become someone who notices things sooner. Sooner when you're overwhelmed, sooner when something doesn't feel aligned, sooner when you're pushing out of habit instead of intention and listening to your body. And noticing sooner, at least for me, it can feel very inconvenient at first because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It's very interesting. It's not perfection. No. It's not mastery. It's not being unshakable. No, no, no. It's far from it. It's awareness with kindness and compassion for yourself. Regulation taught me that my nervous system wasn't trying to sabotage my life. It was just trying to protect me using outdated information. That's all. And instead of forcing it to update faster, I had to earn its trust. Ooh, trust, my friend, is very key through consistency, through pacing myself, through not abandoning myself when things felt uncomfortable. That trust did not come from insights. No, it came from felt experience in my body. And here's something people don't say enough. Woo! True regulation is boring most times. It is boring as fuck. It is repetitive. It is subtle. It is very unglamorous. It looks like going to bed earlier instead of proving a point. It looks like not responding immediately to that email or text message. It looks like choosing neutrality over reactivity. It looks like letting something be unresolved without turning it into a crisis. And that can feel anticlimactic as fuck. Especially if your nervous system learned intensity as connection. Woo! But here's the thing. Over time, patience, my friend, something starts to shift. Your baseline starts to soften. Not because life became easier, no, but because you stop adding unnecessary tension on top of it. I will tell you this from experience. You will still have hard days. You just don't collapse into those hard days. That's life. It's a wave up and down. So when someone asks me now, is regulating your nervous system actually worth it? I pause and I don't answer quickly because the honest answer is this. It depends on whether you want to keep living from reflex or start living from choice. Oof. Regulation does not take away your humanity. No, it gives you more room to be a human being. That's the beauty of regulation. If you're listening to this and wondering where to start, I will say this to you, my friend. You don't start by fixing. No, no, no. You start by noticing. Noticing how your body responds to pace, noticing how your body reacts to pressure, noticing how you override yourself out of deeply ingrained habits. This is not judgment. This is not performance. No, this is mere curiosity. And that curiosity, quiet, consistent, embodied, is where regulation actually begins. And from there, the question of is it worth it answers itself. Not all at once, but over time, in small micro moments, in the ordinary days, in the way you stop fighting yourself. Oh my goodness, it's so worth it. And you start meeting yourself exactly where you already are. That, my friend, is the power of regulating your nervous system. I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to appreciate you for listening. And I'm sending you so much love from my heart to yours. Thank you.